Hey, what's going on everyone? This is Backbrace and welcome to this new tutorial where we're going to build SQL injection scanner. Now, I'm going to assume that you understand already what is SQL injection, but if not, that's no problem. Let's just take a look to OWASP website here that explains very well what is SQL injection and a small diagram. And this is not my diagram. I'm going to leave the link to the website where I got this diagram from because it's very well detailed. OWASP, by the way, is an abbreviation for Open Web Application Security Project. It's a non-profit foundation that works to improve the software security. So basically, SQL injection attack consists of insertion or injection of a SQL query via the input data from the client to the application. Here you have the client, right? It's your computer here. There you are, and that's the attacker, who is going to insert a malicious character in an input field inside your user form. And that user form, if some malicious character like a single quote, backward slash, or any other malicious character, and the query is submit to your web application server, then the web application server is going to connect to the database server. Now, here is the danger. If your database server in your SQL is not well written and is not well secured, there might be leakage of usernames, passwords, all the customer records, everything inside your database could be potentially hacked or deleted, dropped, right? That's the main goal of the attacker, is to extract a bulk of knowledge of data from your database. And it's no wonder that the SQLI or the SQL injection is ranked among the top 10 most dangerous cyber attacks in the world. If you'll take this example for instance, so you want to select ID, first name, last name from authors, but that's not all. We will need a where clause here. But before that, if one provided first name is equal to evil, this single quote EX, and last name Newman. Now take a look to the whole query. Select ID, first name, last name from authors, where first name is equal to, and inside single quotes, evil, another single quote EX, and last name is Newman. Now, the database will attempt to run that query, but we will have an incorrect syntax near the IL, as the database tried to execute evil. Now, if you will have syntax error, that means that you have a security problem inside your database code. So in this tutorial, we're going actually to build a scanner for that using Python language, and we're going to scan different websites and to check the vulnerability, the potential vulnerability on these websites. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. All right, so let me actually go to my folder. I'm going to create SQLI. I'm going to open that with Visual Studio Code. All right, I'm going to create here main, or let's call it scan.py. So actually I'm going to use my website here, and I'm going to extract the web forms first, because SQL injection, as we said, is carried through user input, right? We will check whether a web page has SQL errors in it. And this will be useful when we're going to check for the SQL injection attacks. And finally, we will test it on the HTML forms. Okay, so we will need two packages actually. We will need the beautiful soup, and we will need the requests package. So these are third-party libraries that we will need to install. All right, so let's go ahead and first of all activate virtual environment by using pipenv shell command. If you don't have pipenv, you can install it simply by typing pip install pipenv. And if you're using Linux, you can type pip3 install -- user pipenv. And also on macOS, you can use homebrew, right? So yeah, this is for Windows here, just pip install pipenv. Great, now let's go ahead and pipenv install BS4 and requests. In the meantime, let's go ahead and open my website. This is just backbrace.com. All right. So we have one user form here. Okay. Right, perfect. Let's get back to our VS Code and let's start by importing the requests. And also we want the beautiful soup. So from BS4, I want to import beautiful soup. Perfect. Also, I need the system module, and from urlib library, urlib.parse, I need the URL join, and you will see later why I need that. Now I want to initialize the session of the HTTP, and we will set the latest user agent for our browser here. So you can take a look to my previous network programming in Python. You'll find all of that in details. So requests.session. So this is the session, and I'm going to take the headers. So to know the user agent, just simply you can go to your browser and what is my user agent? All right, so this is it. Mozilla 5, blah, 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 all of that. So I need to take this, by the way, get back here. Okay, so here, user agent. And this is equal to what we have copied. And we'll paste here. Let me just make this a little bit smaller. All right, great. Now we shall extract the HTML web forms, right? So the HTML here, so we'll need the HTML from here for the user form. So let's go ahead and do that. For this, first of all, we will write a function that upon giving a URL will make a request to that page, and then we'll extract all the HTML form tags from it. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. We will call this function get_forms. We will pass URL as input, and soup here is equal to beautiful soup, and the session to get the URL and content, then HTML parser. And then I want to return all the forms, right? So I want to find actually each form and returns. That's the main purpose of the get_forms function. So using the BS4 or the beautiful soup package.findAll method to find all forms. Okay, so this method, or rather function, to get all forms. The next thing that I want to do is to create a function that returns the form details. I need the details of each form. So let's call it form_details, and inside here the form as an input. So first of all, details, let's call it what? Details of form. And this is going to be an empty dictionary just for the moment initially. Then I need two things, the action and the method. The method is going to be naturally get, because we're going to send a get request to the website. So action attribute, so action here, form.attributes.get action, and then the method is get. Okay, great. And then I want to create inputs list. Initially, also this inputs list will be empty. Then we're going to append to it the input type, the input name, and the input value. We are getting the form details, the details of each user form in my website, which actually happens to be only one. Name, here, first name, last name, email, the options, you get some options here, and the comment. Okay, so basically the scanner will scan and will find this form here and will tell us if there is some vulnerability here or not. Okay, let's get back to our code and let's create a for loop. I want to iterate over and create input type, input name, and input value. And then we're going to append all that to our inputs list. So for input underscore tag in form dot find underscore all, and here need the input. So let's declare a new variable input type, and that input type is equal to the input underscore tag dot attributes dot get. What we want to get the type and the text. Now the input name. These are HTML tags. Last but not least, the input underscore value. Input, I don't know what. Okay. I'm a bit lazy. Input value. So again, input tag dot attributes dot get, and here value, and the value is essentially, or initially, it's empty, right? So empty double quotes or single quotes, doesn't matter. And finally, we're going to append all that to our inputs list. All right, so let's go ahead and take the details of form dictionary or empty dictionary, and we need two more, method and inputs. And this is going to be equal to action, method, and inputs. Finally, we're going to return that details of form. So let's go ahead now and write that function. I'm going to call it vulnerable, and it takes the response, right? The response output. So I'm going to create a set actually. Errors equals to quoted string not properly terminated, unclosed quotation mark after the character string. You have an error in your SQL syntax, for example. You have SQL syntax. So these are the errors that I want to loop over. So for error in errors, I want to check if error in response dot content dot decode dot for lowercase dot lower, I want to return true, else we can return false. We don't need even to type else, right? Okay, so this is basically the vulnerable function. So let's create another function. This actually will scan. So this is the actual scanning function here. So I'm calling it SQL underscore injection underscore scan, and I will pass here URL. Then let's go ahead and create forms. Okay, and then let's print just a period here. So now let's go ahead and loop over the forms. So for form in forms, let's get first the details from the form details of that form. Then inside that forms for loop, we'll have another loop. So for I in inside double quotes, and then data is equal to an empty dictionary, because we're going to check now for each input tag in details sub inputs, going actually to check out if input tag sub type is equal to hidden, or maybe the input tag sub value, and if so, then data sub input underscore tag sub name is going to be set to the input tag sub value plus that I iterator. Elif the input tag, let's actually copy that here. If the input tag subtype is not equal to submit, in this case, I want data with the data input tag name exactly to be equal to, well, we're going to format that for the test with the iterator. All right, so what happened here actually? We have iterated over that sign that might be maliciously entered as input. If it's entered inside the input and submit, and if we have any response, that means that there is some vulnerabilities inside the website, right? So actually we are checking for like we are looping over these symbols. Then we created a data dictionary, and then we have looped over the details, and then we have checked if the type is hidden or if the type is equal to the value. Then we are setting the name to be equal to the value plus that iterator, whatever symbol. If the type is not equal to submit, then the name is set to be the test with the I or that iterator. Okay, and finally we need to print that URL, form details form. If the method is post, not get, we need to check for that as well. So if details with method is equal to post, then the response is equal to the session, and we're going to post the URL, and data is set to data. Okay, elif details method is equal or equals to get. I want the response, the session to get URL, but the params is equal to data. Right, something is wrong. Oops, I missed here. Okay, just like that. So if the method is equal to post, I'm going to assign the URL. I'm going to post the URL and assign that to the response. So this is simply checking if the method is post, we're going to post the URL, else we're going to get the URL. So if vulnerable with response as input, we are going to print something like SQL injection attack vulnerability, and let's return that URL. Else we are going to print no SQL. All right, and let's break outside the loop once Python hits that 70th line. Now let's go ahead and old school, if name is equal to main, let's define that URL that we want to check. URL to be checked is equal to https://backbrace.com, and now we can invoke that function, SQL injection scan. And we will pass inside it the URL to be checked. All right, I think we are done with our program. Now let's go ahead and put it to test. Let's clear the terminal and let's go ahead and say Python scan.py. No module name BS4. Okay, I'm not really sure why, but let's go ahead and ppnv install BS4 again. All right, and let's make sure that the virtual environment is activated, ppnv shell. All right, great. Now let's go ahead and try that one more time, Python scan.py. All right, perfect. There you go. Detected 1 forms on backbrace.com and no SQL injection attack vulnerability detected. That's fantastic. Let's check out other websites. Let's, for instance, say, I don't know, maybe we can check out for Yahoo, maybe. That's interesting. What if no user forms? Let's check out that. Let's first define here. Okay, detected 5 forms on http://yahoo.com. And now we have something is not right. So if vulnerable res local variable res reference before assignment. Yeah, I think I understand what's happening here. It's indentation problem. So I think now this should work. Yeah, great. Because first here on my website, it was only 1 form. But once it started to check out for the looping on different forms in one page, we got that error. It's just an indentation mistake. So you can see here that all of these 5 forms, no vulnerability detected. Let's check out the last website. Let's see, for instance, let's see, CNN maybe. No SQL injection, no SQL injection. Attack. Attack. Okay. All right, so our program seems to be working fine. Feel free to play with that. This is not dangerous for anything. On the contrary, we are scanning for vulnerabilities on websites, which is very good. You can call yourself a white hat hacker, which is essentially pen tester. So yeah, that's it for this tutorial, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. See you soon, guys.